Bag done.
Oh, really? You putting a tally on?
14 for today, 54 throughout the week, 46 to go. This is 1 metric ton of sand, and my task is to shovel and carry the entire ton by bucket load a distance of 25 meters. And I'll repeat this, moving all of the sand from one bag to the other until I have moved 100 tons, which is equivalent to moving the weight of a blue whale the length of a blue whale. This is an exercise in understanding how big blue whales really are. A baby blue whale can grow 100 kilos in a day. That's as much as me. And an adult whale will be at least 25 meters long and weigh 100 tons. And at that size, they are bigger than any other animal, which is why I've set that as the parameters for my challenge. But the biggest blue whale was closer to 33 meters long and 200 tons in weight. I weigh 95 kilos, so I'm 1,000 times smaller than a blue whale. This egg weighs 90 grams, which is 1,000 times smaller than me. So in comparison to the egg, I am as big as a blue whale. And it makes it easy to understand the size difference this way around, where I can lift and move the egg to feel how small it is. But what I'm going to find out is how it would feel for this egg to lift and move me. So I like working out in a gym, where I know I can lift 40 kilos on a barbell easily enough. But I had no idea whether I could shovel and carry this kind of weight 25 meters over 2,000 times. So to simulate moving the weight of the world's biggest animal, I ordered a ton of sand, set up 2 containers 25 meters apart, and got to work. This time-lapse footage shows my progress along with the weights of increasingly bigger animals that I've moved. I also want to point out that if you order a ton bag from a lot of building suppliers in the UK, you only usually get around 800 kilos, so I had to add sand until I had 1,050 kilos, and that extra amount is just a buffer because I knew there'd be spillages. So the reason I'm shoveling all of this sand is to explore my fitness as a manual labourer. I work in landscaping, which obviously involves a lot of shoveling, and moving heavy materials, which I will use a bucket for where the access is too awkward for a wheelbarrow. It's hard, but I just love being outside and exercising. Specifically, I'd say that manual labour trains strength endurance. You're moving around, lifting reasonably heavy and awkward things all day. Bags, slabs, blocks. And that's what gives you that dad strength or farm strength, which I think is fitness that's applicable to real world tasks outside of a gym. I'd argue that long duration load bearing strength endurance is an underexplored area in sports and competition, which is why I've made the Blue Whale Challenge the ultimate test of a labourer's fitness, because it's to move at least 100 tons 25 metres within a time limit of 5 days. That's 1 working week, which means moving at least 20 tons per day. So by having to shovel, lift and carry the sand, altogether tests the strength and durability of your hands, back and core. Moving up to 50 kilos of sand in each bucket, then in order to move 20 tons in a day requires at least 400 repetitions. Each rep requires moving 50 meters, so each day you move at least 20 kilometers or 12.5 miles, and half of that distance is whilst carrying 40 to 50 kilos of sand. This level of volume really tests your endurance and stamina to keep moving with good posture for hours each day, and finally being outside and active for 5 days straight tests your resilience, recovery and adaptability working through challenging and changeable conditions. So I'm fairly sure this would make me the first person to move 100 tons 25 meters with a bucket and shovel in 1 week, or 20 tons in a day, which I'd like to sound impressive, but really it's more to do with the fact that I've made this whole thing up and it is a really tedious task. But even so, I like the idea that I was doing something unprecedented. I really didn't know if I could do it, how it would feel, like what would stop me. Would it be the tearing and blistering of my hands from shoveling, or would I just get too sore back from all the carrying? And you know, the sand bucket carry does resemble a strongman event, but whereas strongman is focused on maximum strength, high intensity lifts, My challenge is more of a strongman marathon, where I'm doing a much lower intensity but longer duration and volume event. It demands more of a hybrid style of fitness, like for CrossFit. But the prolonged nature of my challenge, I think, sets it apart from anything else because it focuses so specifically on long form, strength, endurance. So I really wanted to see if I could do it, but also to set some benchmarks because I'd love to know how other labourers or athletes would do at this moving 20 tons race or moving as many tons in a day race. Anyway, you can see from the time lapse I did make good progress in this challenge, but I'll just give you a rundown of what it felt like at the time. Starting at 7 AM on a rainy Monday, moving the first 20 tons on fresh legs took 10 hours at a steady pace, and it was good to know that 20 tons was achievable. Final turn, so the goal was to do 20 tons a day. Didn't know if I could do it. I'm pretty chuffed because I'm about to hit ton 20. Now it was just a question of how sore I'd feel. I definitely feel my forearm and the hoisting and the carrying, but overall my back feels alright. And yeah, a lot of weird muscles in my legs getting worked, but really I'd say this is more than anything a durability test. My recovery plan each evening was to eat as much nutritious food as possible, take a hot bath with salt, lots of foam rolling, dangling, nasal strips to help me sleep, and thorough application of gardener's muscle oil. Even so, Tuesday I was in bits. I started at 8 AM and after a serious slog finished 12 hours later. It was by far the hardest day. I felt the most sore and wasn't even halfway through the total challenge. I had found my rock bottom. I didn't feel any worse at the end of the day than I did at the start. Wednesday also happened to be my 29th birthday, which gave me a much needed morale boost. Remarkably, I felt a lot better than the day before, as if my body had accepted the new reality of moving 20 tons and just stopped complaining. I completed the day in 11 hours. Thursday, I felt fully adjusted to this new lifestyle and chugged through the day in 10 hours. Then on Friday, with the end in sight, I started at 4 AM to attempt the final 20 tons as fast as possible. I downed 3 cans of energy drink and managed to finish in 8 hours. I followed up with a victory lap to reweigh the sand, which was now 960 kilos, and having started with 1,050 kilos, I was satisfied that this roughly worked out as having moved on average close to 1,000 kilos 101 times. Therefore, I had completed my Blue Whale challenge.
This is Presenter Frankie in honour of a fantastic 5-day challenge. Enjoy it. Thank you very much.
In doing that final day as fast as possible, or maybe just because of the energy drinks, I ended up sick with exhaustion. I spent the rest of the day vomiting and shivering intensely as though I had a fever, so I couldn't quite celebrate as I'd have liked to.
I've done it. I've done my 100 tons.
But thankfully this was short-lived and I felt much better the next day. So that's it. I've moved 100 tons, 25 meters. The weight of a blue whale, the length of a blue whale, with a bucket and shovel within 5 days. And I hope that demonstrates just how big the world's biggest animal really is, but also that manual labour is great exercise. My name's Francis Roy, and this was my first wildebeest challenge. Thanks for watching.